Welcome to HirePresence. Today I've got an absolutely fantastic show for you because if you're a job seeker, then the interview means everything. That's your opportunity to shine. What if I told you there are some ways that when you get in that interview, you can change everything in the outcome? In the way that you speak, answer questions, and pose questions, there's a mind game going on. So I brought on, a persuasion expert, Jim Fortin. Jim, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. Glad to be here today.
We're going to talk today about tips, tools, techniques that job seekers can be job finders. Now, you, mindauthoritynetwork.com, you're an expert in persuasion and influence. That's what I've known of you.
Right.
We've done a number of these before. I want to know how did you get into this area of neuro persuasion that you actually coined that phrase?
Okay, good question and a great place to start. When I use the word hypnosis, and I say hypnosis, many times that polarizes people. They'll think, okay, great, I want to learn more, or oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Carnival, sideshow, this, that, and the other.
Right.
I'm a master hypnotist. What most people do not know is that hypnosis is endorsed by the American Medical Association, the American Dental, the American Psychological, et cetera, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Columbia. Many major research universities have done studies in hypnosis, and actually they've validated the efficacy of it for change, behavioral change, whatever it is. Long story very short, I had a client come in years ago. I don't do hypnosis anymore, and he said, I want to become a non-smoker. He stopped smoking. He said, I just listened to you. You just use words. How did I stop smoking? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, as a hypnotist, we use language patterns. We use techniques. We use strategies. We use things to plant suggestions. And he said, can you teach me how to use these techniques with my prospects and clients? And so what I did is I took everything that I've used as a hypnotist and then just mapped it over into business, real world applications so that anybody can take out the patterns and use them right away to start planting suggestions to lead people where they want them to go.
I'm sitting here, all I can think is Yoda. You really got this Jedi mind trick down.
Yes.
Except that you use it in a way for good.
Absolutely. And when people come to my full program, I do actually ask them to sign an agreement because it's very easy to lead people. Really, all of us are led unconsciously and we don't even know it. Marketers have done it for years, okay? So I have people sign an agreement saying that they will use the material ethically when they're out and about doing whatever they're doing, whether it be sales, persuasion, influence, or even job seeking. Use the material ethically.
And in the situation where you're talking to job seekers out there,
right?
And they want to know, okay, sounds cool,
okay,
but how can I begin to learn it and use it to have the best outcome from each interview that I get?
Well, first and foremost, I tell selling professionals that anytime you've lost a sale, a client doesn't buy, it's for one of two reasons. Either you weren't persuasive or influential enough, or your competition was more persuasive and influential than you were. And what most people miss, especially when it comes to job seeking, it's very simple, but they're selling themselves before anything else.
That's right.
Research has demonstrated that when people go to a job interview, the interviewer has determined within the first couple of minutes whether or not they want to hire that person. Then they spend the next 45 minutes validating, yes, I want to hire, or no, I do not want to hire. If you can't persuade and influence just like that the second you walk in, you've already lost the job. So how can they do it? We first have to start, though, with mindset. And that's what I find with people looking for jobs. Those watching now, is that, and I've spoken at many, many networking groups for people looking for jobs. I think what people do is many people are unemployed for so long, they start losing confidence, and they're not even aware to what degree they've lost confidence. I spoke at an event once, and I wrote a blog post after it, and the post was, "You smell like desperation." See, because an interviewer, we read, people watching, even watching us, we read in a matter of seconds the body language, and we start putting together a profile in our mind about that person. We start making judgments about that person. So if a person goes to a job interview and they're acting confident, but they're really not, and they're nervous, it's coming across in their breathing because they're talking faster, their breathing might even be a little higher pitched, coming up higher in the throat. If they're not confident, it is showing because the other person is reading it unconsciously and making assessments about that candidate.
So does that person then need to begin to speak a different way to themselves to set themselves up for the engagement? And then when they get there, are there certain words they can use to show a greater level of confidence?
Great question. Actually, a wonderful question, and that I call it state creation. We all go through mental states throughout our day. What many people will do is they're like, okay, time to go into my interview. They're in the car, right? And they're all nervous and they're all jittery, and I really need this job. The wife's after me, the kid, I need this job. So they go in there in desperation as opposed to going in there in what I call their center, being completely centered emotionally. You know, for those of you watching, think back to a time in your past when you were completely centered, you felt good, everything was good in life, and you had peace of mind. Think about how much more powerful you are there than you are when you're all nervous or jittery or you're not sure. That takes your power away, and people read that.
Wow. I have to admit, when you think about getting centered, first, that you're saying take yourself back to when you were in control, when things were...
Yeah, go back to that state in your mind now. When were you feeling good? When were you feeling powerful?
Right.
Go back to that state now. Feel what it feels like to feel powerful. Notice what it feels like now. I tell people very simply, take a deep breath. Now, every time that you tell yourself, I'm going to go back in that state, it's called an anchor, a cue, a trigger. Take a deep breath again before you go into that interview. Center yourself. Now go in powerful.
That's great. Well, we'll be right back after this, but we've got more with Jim Fortin on giving you keys to persuasion in the interview. We'll be right back.
The Weight Loss Surgery Channel is the world's first online television network devoted exclusively to the weight loss surgery community. Find the information, support, and guidance that can keep you on the road to success. The Weight Loss Surgery Channel, here for you on the web 24 hours a day, every day. Visit us at weightlosssurgerychannel.com.